That's bad.
All right, what's going on, guys? Today we are going to be installing a tubular K-member in our 95 Mustang here. This still has the big old stock stamped steel one that a lot of weight, pretty flimsy, takes up a lot of room, and we got a heck of a deal on this one off Marketplace. So this is our UPR Chromoly tubular K-member. Obviously it has the tubular A-arms too, all chromoly. We do have the single adjustable strange front struts with some Viking springs on them and just some coilover sleeves. This is relatively light. I'd say it's probably 35 pounds. We'll see how much the stock one weighs. We were originally planning on running all stock stuff. Like I said, this is a budget build, just a kind of quickly thrown together turbo LS deal. Just a fun street car, but on Marketplace found this for a pretty good deal. It was $600 for everything and a core support that I had laying around for the last like 2 years that I was probably never going to use. So it should be a pretty simple, straightforward swap. We got to pull the wheels off just to make it easier to get to everything. Separate the lower ball joints, separate the struts from the spindle and the strut tower. We can pull all that out of the way, get it all cleaned up nice. This is going to be a little bit of a street strip car, so we might leave the sway bar off. Might see if we can repurpose this for the rear. That'd be pretty rad. And then obviously disconnect the steering and probably cut these lines out of here because I've got a manual Flaming River rack that I've been holding on to. Got that at a swap meet for, I want to say $80 a couple years ago that I've just been holding on to for things. We might throw that on here, and then once we get all that out of the way, we should be able to leave the springs in here with it, fingers crossed, because they sit in a little pocket at the top of the K-member, and then obviously into the lower control arm. And then there's just a few bolts on each side. You can see there's two here, one up here on each side. So 2, 1, 1. And then this whole thing should pretty much drop out of here, giving us a huge open engine bay so we can clean up our strut towers. There's a little bit of rust starting there, small hole here, so we'll get that cleaned up and patched. And then the rest of the car is looking pretty darn good. As soon as my dad gets back here with the socket for these lug nuts, we can get these wheels pulled off, get them out of the way, and get started on everything. I just noticed the steering shaft didn't have a bolt in it. Right on, right on. Love that for us. We'll put you up there. Perfect. And I don't know, we might have to get a different steering shaft. I don't know if this one will fit our new steering rack. I think our steering rack has just a regular splined deal. Yeah, it does. So we will have to change the steering shaft too. Not a big deal. Yeah, this shouldn't take super long. Alright, so he is taking off to go get some new mounting bolts. They were not long for this world. It's pretty impressive, actually. So he went to go get some new bolts. The back ones are still damn near perfect, so those are fine. The front ones, though, yeah, rough. Anyway, I'm going to start cleaning up the chassis, strut towers, frame rails, and everything, and hit it with some chassis paint. So, knocked as much of the rust off as I could, wire wheeled it, sprayed it with some Steel-It. This stuff is relatively thin. This is a little bit thicker, so this won't be too bad. But I've got, I think, 16th inch or 8th inch. I'm not sure. I'll have to check in a second. But so all we got to do now is cut out our plate, which is going to be approximately 3 by 9. 3 by 9 should be good. All right, got our plate all cut out, got it tapered, and did notch this corner a little bit so it fits a little bit better. Fits pretty good. I'm gonna tap some of the edges down as I go, just to make it fit a little bit more snug, but we're looking pretty darn good. I did paint the backside so it doesn't rust from the inside, like any moisture getting trapped in here, or at least doesn't do it anytime soon. I'll probably start along the bottom because that's a thicker section, so that when I start tapping it with a hammer, once it's tacked in place, welded in place, it doesn't try to just bend all the sheet metal. It actually hopefully bends the plate into a little bit better shape. Get these fuel lines out of the way and then start welding this thing up. All right, camera battery died, so we're over to the phone, but got the plate all welded in. The ones on the bottom are a little ugly because I was just figuring out what settings the machine wanted, but we got it melted into both of them pretty even. I'm happy with it, so we'll let this cool off. Yep, still excruciatingly hot. Oh my god. Now I will try to unbolt all this without messing up any of the brake lines, because I'd like to leave those intact. Since we're not doing like a tube front or anything, I don't want to touch any of those ideally. So hopefully I can just undo the nut on the other side of this and kind of swing this up out of the way enough to get in here. We don't have to do a very big plate, like a 5x5 or something like that, just to come down below this. But yeah, let me swing this up out of the way and we'll get it. All right, and then while we got a moment, weighing the difference, the stock K-member with the sway bar and the stock power rack is 111, 110, 111. All right, and then the new K-member with the manual rack, it's about 45 pounds, 44, 45 pounds. So roughly 50 pounds off the front. No, 60 pounds off the front.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I don't remember where I left off. I think we had just weighed the K-members, but I went full ADHD and ended up cleaning the engine bay pretty decent. I wasn't going to do like a full wire tuck because that just isn't worth it for this car, but I did want to clean it up a lot. So I think I did a pretty good job. Cleaned it up, painted it with just some Ford Blue engine paint. The wiring over here, pretty simple. Also, you can see our plates turned out pretty decent, man. I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, the wiring over here was incredibly straightforward. There was 2 plugs here and then 1 plug for the, I'm pretty sure that's like an ignition box. Unplugged that, unscrewed it from the firewall. Just was able to push the wiring in there, and then I'll reconnect the 2 plugs over here. I don't know what they go to be honest, which is why I'm going to plug them back in. I might put the ignition box back in and just like zip tie it to something in the fender and let it free ball, you know. But yeah, just push that kind of out of the way, and it cleaned it up a hell of a lot. Over here, a lot of this, I want to keep the battery up here. So a lot of this, all I did was just take the battery cables off and like lift the wiring up out of the way. Nothing real crazy. Like I said, we're going to put the battery back here, so I might try to find a stock tray. Those are like 30-40 bucks, I think. And then like that'll all stay nice and tidy. And I'm a big fan of like keeping things somewhat symmetrical whenever you can. So we're going to have the battery and all that over there, and then the turbo over here. It should kind of visually balance things out. At least that's what I'm hoping. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked with how this engine bay turned out. I also painted the firewall, so that looks pretty nice. I was still debating on just touching up that plastic back there just so that everything under the hood looks pretty fresh. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it a night, and then in the morning come back out and get the K-member and everything bolted back in it so that we got a roller again. I'm going to have to do something about the steering shaft. I don't know if I want to cut off the stock joint there and weld on a universal joint, because the steering rack that I have has a 26, like a 9/16 26 spline, I think. So I could unbolt this, get a whole new unit, but I could also just zip that off real quick, weld on like a $25 universal from Amazon, and then boom. Hopefully that slides right on there. I won't really know until I get everything bolted back in place and see if the distance is right. Might have to play with that. But yeah, everything else is looking pretty damn good. So I am tired and the paint needs to dry anyway, so see you guys in the morning. All right, it is the next day. The paint's all dry. We can get a better look at it. And sheesh. I think it's looking pretty good. God dang, that's actually looking really good. All things considered, I think this turned out really good. A little bit of a color difference, but I think it's closer than it was. I think next up is getting the K-member bolted in it. The thing that we came here for, what we're all waiting for. So let's get it lifted back up and start bolting that bad boy in. All right, and with that, we're kind of at the point where we need to order a few more parts before we can move forward. I got the rack just sitting in it, need to get the bushings for it. Might be able to reuse the stock tie rods. And then we can, yeah, we are going to be able to just weld on a universal joint to this. So that's cool. Instead of spending like 70, 80 bucks on a whole new shaft, we can just spend 25 on a new universal, weld it to this, and boom, done. It is kind of hurting my soul putting those rusty rotors and brakes and everything on the brand new K-member with the brand new struts. But once the wheel's on, I'll probably, the calipers I think are still good, so I'll probably clean them up and paint them just so they look a little bit better. But aside from that, this is our engine bay. I am mighty stoked. Mighty stoked. This turned out really good. We're trucking right along with this thing. Moving right along. This is awesome. So hopefully in the next video now we can actually start sitting the drivetrain down in it again, hopefully permanently since we got the actual engine transmission. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time.